Before we begin, I want you to do something for me. Take a moment to look around the room you're in right now. Notice the corners, the doorway, the shadows near the walls. Because tonight's story is not about monsters or ghosts. It's about something far more unsettling, something real. This is a true horror story shared on Reddit by someone who never expected their quiet new apartment to become the most terrifying place they had ever known. As you listen, remember this: the scariest things rarely announce themselves, they wait. So get comfortable, turn the lights low, and try to relax. But maybe don't fall asleep just yet. I want to start this by saying that I'm not someone who scares easily. I've lived alone for years. I like quiet. I like routines. I like knowing exactly what to expect when I come home at night. That's why what happened to me still doesn't make sense. And even now, I don't think I fully understand how close I came to something that could have ended very differently. When I moved into that apartment, it felt like a fresh start. New city, new job, new life. The building itself was old, the kind with thick walls and narrow hallways that smelled faintly of dust and cleaning solution. The rent was cheap, the location was convenient, and most importantly, it was quiet. No neighbors with loud music, no traffic noise outside my window, just silence. The first week was perfect. I unpacked slowly, arranged my furniture, settled into a comfortable routine. Work during the day, dinner in front of the TV at night, then bed around midnight. Nothing unusual, nothing unsettling. Then the small things began. At first it was my keys. I always left them on the kitchen counter by the door. One morning they weren't there. I found them on the coffee table instead. I shrugged it off, assuming I had absent-mindedly put them down somewhere else. And the next day, my shoes were turned in a different direction than I remembered. I had a habit of lining them neatly against the wall. That morning, they were scattered, as if someone had nudged them aside. Again, I told myself I was overthinking. It wasn't until the doors started changing that I began to feel uneasy. I was meticulous about locking up. Front door locked, bedroom door closed, bathroom door open. That was always how I left things before going to bed. But some mornings, the bedroom door was open, wide open. I stood in the hallway the first time it happened, staring at it, trying to convince myself I had simply forgotten to close it. Closed it again and went about my day. It happened again the next morning, and the morning after that. I started checking more carefully at night. I would stand in the doorway and make sure the latch clicked shut. I would test it with my hand. It was closed every time, and still I kept waking up to find it open. Around this time, the noises began. The building was old, so I expected creaks, pipes knocking, the occasional thump from somewhere far away. But this was different. Late at night, usually between 2 and 3 in the morning, I would hear slow footsteps. Not rushed, not heavy, just careful. They came from the living room. The first time I heard them, I froze in bed, barely breathing, listening. They stopped after a few seconds. I told myself it was the building settling, or maybe someone walking in the apartment above me. But the sound always came from inside my own apartment. The second night, the footsteps reached my bedroom door. I lay there, staring at the darkness, listening to the soft scrape of something against the floor. A pause, then silence. I didn't open the door. I didn't move. I stayed like that until the sun came up. The next day, I checked everything. Locks, windows, balcony door. Everything was sealed. I started sleeping with my bedroom door locked. That's when the breathing started. It was faint at first, barely noticeable. A slow inhale, a long exhale, so quiet I thought it might be my own, until I realized it wasn't coming from me, it was coming from the corner of the room. I lay there, eyes wide, heart pounding so loudly, I was sure whoever was in the room could hear it. The breathing continued for what felt like hours. I didn't turn on the light, I didn't look, I waited until it stopped. The next morning, my pillow was on the floor, the pillow I slept on. I had no memory of moving it. That was when I decided I needed proof. I set up my phone on the dresser, plugged in recording audio all night. I told myself it was just to reassure myself, to prove nothing was happening. I fell asleep eventually, exhausted. When I listened to the recording the next morning, my hands started shaking halfway through. At 2:47 a.m., the bedroom door creaked open. Footsteps crossed the floor. A pause, barely louder than a whisper. Don't wake up. I didn't remember hearing that. I called in sick to work that day. I searched the apartment from top to bottom. Closets, cabinets, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. Everything looked normal until I noticed the vent above the hallway closet. The screws were loose. I climbed on a chair and removed the cover. Behind it was darkness and a faint smell of sweat and dust. I shined my phone flashlight inside. There was a narrow crawl space just big enough for a person to fit through. And deep inside, I saw something that made my stomach drop. A blanket, food wrappers, a water bottle. Someone had been living inside my walls. One backed away slowly and locked myself in the bathroom. I called the police. They arrived within 15 minutes. 2 officers searched the crawl space while I waited outside in the hallway, shaking. They found him an hour later, a man in his 40s, thin, filthy, with a backpack full of my things. My spare keys, photos of me taken through the bedroom door, pages torn from a notebook covered in handwriting, my schedule, my habits. Notes about when I slept deeply, notes about when I moved. One line repeated over and over, "She never wakes up." He had been there for almost 3 weeks, entering my apartment while I was at work, watching me while I slept, standing in my bedroom at night, whispering to himself. The officer told me I was lucky. Most people never realize someone is there until it's too late. I moved out that same day. New apartment, new locks, new routine. But sometimes, in the middle of the night, I still wake up when I hear a floorboard creak. I still check my bedroom door. I still listen for breathing that doesn't belong to me. And every once in a while, when the apartment is completely silent, I remember something the officer said as he walked me out the building. I still listen for breathing that doesn't belong to me. And every once in a while, when the apartment is completely silent, I remember something the officer said as he walked me out of the building. He said, "This isn't the first time he's done this," which means somewhere, right now, someone else might be sleeping, thinking they're alone. If this story unsettled you, you're not alone. What makes stories like this so frightening is not the darkness or the silence or the setting. It's the fact that it could happen to anyone. A quiet apartment, a locked door, a routine that feels safe, and someone you never see. If you enjoyed this story and you'd like to hear more real horror experiences from Reddit and beyond, make sure to subscribe. New true horror stories are uploaded regularly, all told slowly and calmly for late night listening. And if you've ever had an experience that still keeps you awake at night, feel free to share it in the comments. You never know, your story might be the next one told here. Good night. and sleep well.